Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live without fear of being crushed? To stand tall against criticism, loss, or the storms life throws at you? Maybe you've felt that heaviness in your chest, that quiet voice whispering you're not strong enough, that the world will bend you, break you, make you give up. But what if I told you there's a power inside you that can make you unshakable? Not a shield that blocks pain, but a fire that burns brighter because of it. Maybe you're tired of trying to please everyone, of hiding, of feeling like you're always one step away from falling apart. This video is for you, the one who wants to rise, no matter what comes, and become someone no one can see. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's greatest philosophers, believed each of us can become more than we are. He called it the superhuman. Let's find out how together you can take the first step toward building that version of yourself. Life is a battlefield, and you know it. Every day you face something new. A comment that stings, a door that slams shut, a doubt that makes you question everything. And what hurts most isn't just the hit, it's the echo it leaves behind. The feeling that no matter how hard you try, you're never enough. You push to be strong, to show you can handle it, to keep your head up. But inside, sometimes, it feels like you're unraveling, like every criticism, every failure is proof something's wrong with you. Why? Because we were raised to believe our strength, our worth, comes from outside. It comes from what we achieve, the job, the money, the status. It comes from what others think, the likes, the praise, the approval. It comes from the control we think we have over the world, as if we could predict every step, dodge every stumble. But that's a dangerous illusion. Nietzsche said most of us live like part of a herd, following paths laid out by others, obeying rules we never question. Think about it. How many times have you done something just because that's how it's done? How many times have you swallowed your voice, your desires, to avoid rocking the boat, to not be judged? Maybe you picked a career because it seemed safe, even if it didn't light you up inside. Maybe you hid your opinion in a conversation because you feared pushback. Or maybe you said, "I'm fine," when really you were falling apart. That's the herd. A life where you trade who you are for the comfort of fitting in, for the promise that if you follow the rules, you'll be safe. Safe from what? Pain, failure, judgment. The truth is, the more you try to protect yourself this way, the more fragile you become. Because deep down, it's not just the world that hurts you. It's how you were taught to respond to it. When someone rejects you, it's not just the rejection that cuts. It's the voice inside saying you weren't good enough. When you fail, it's not just the mistake that weighs you down. It's the belief that the mistake defines you. Nietzsche called this the slave mentality, the idea that your worth depends on pleasing others, on winning, on never showing weakness. And that mentality is a trap. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of fear, trying to control what can't be controlled, trying to be perfect in a world that will never clap for you forever. You become a hostage to other people's opinions, to expectations, even to your own reflection in the mirror. But here's the good news, this isn't the end of your story. If you're here feeling that emptiness, that exhaustion, it's because something in you is waking up, something that doesn't want to run anymore, doesn't want to hide. Nietzsche believed each of us carries a spark, a force he called the will to power, not to dominate others, but to shape our own lives, to create who we are. That spark is alive in you, even if it's buried under years of doubt, guilt, or what-ifs. This video is for you, the one ready to reignite that fire, to face a truth that might sting but will also set you free. No one has the power to break you unless you hand it over. Let's figure out how to take it back. If this is hitting home, if you feel like you're starting to see something new, hit that subscribe button and join us. This channel is for people who want to go deeper, who want to build a life that's real, full of courage and meaning. Let's keep this journey going together. You think it's the outside world that hurts you. Maybe it's that co-worker who put you down in front of everyone, or the partner who walked away without a word, or the project that crashed despite all your effort. But Nietzsche saw it differently. He said suffering doesn't come from what happens, it comes from what you do with it. The pain that knocks you down isn't in the events themselves, but in the chains you carry inside. Beliefs that tell you you have to be perfect to be worthy, that you need everyone's love to matter, that you must control every detail to stay whole. Those chains weren't born with you. They were forged over time, by the moments someone told you you weren't enough, by the times you felt you had to prove yourself, by the rules you swallowed without questioning. Picture a kid who spills a glass of milk and hears, "You always mess everything up." That kid grows up thinking every mistake is a disaster, that they have to be flawless to be accepted, or think of someone who was left out by their peers at school. They might carry for years the idea that they need to win everyone's approval. To not feel invisible, those experiences aren't just memories, they're seeds that grow into patterns. Suddenly you're an adult, feeling a knot in your stomach every time someone disagrees with you, or sabotaging your own chances because deep down, you're scared you don't deserve to win. Nietzsche would say this isn't weakness, it's the weight of a world that taught you to bow. Think about how this shows up day to day. Maybe you hold back what you really think in a meeting because you're afraid of sounding foolish. Or maybe you beat yourself up so much over a small mistake that you lose sleep, replaying every detail. Or perhaps you scroll through social media, see someone who looks like they've got it all together, and feel like you'll never measure up. Those moments aren't random. They're echoes of something deeper, a part of you that still believes your worth depends on being perfect, on being liked, on never failing. Nietzsche called this the slave mentality because it keeps you trapped, reacting instead of creating, defending instead of living. And here's what makes it so sneaky. The more you try to shield yourself from pain, the more power you give it. Every time you run, whether by burying your feelings, drowning in work, or putting on a tough face, you tighten those chains. They don't just stay in your head. They turn into anxiety that freezes you, anger that flares up for no reason, an emptiness no achievement can fill. Maybe you felt it. Everything looks fine on the outside, steady job, friends, routine, but inside there's a restlessness, like something's missing. That something isn't a promotion, a relationship, or more likes. It's you. It's the part of you that's been silenced, that never got the chance to grow. Nietzsche believed that restlessness is a sign. He talked about the will to power as a raw force in each of us, not to control others, but to shape our own lives. It's the energy that makes you want more, not in terms of stuff, but in meaning, authenticity, creation. But that force stays dormant while you're on autopilot, reacting to what the world throws at you, feeling without knowing why. Think of someone who's always wanted to paint, but never picked up a brush because it's not practical, or someone who dreams of moving to a new city but stays put because it's too risky. Those aren't just fears. They're signs of a will trying to break through the chains, begging to be heard. The real fight isn't against your boss, your friend, or fate. It's against the parts of you that you haven't faced. The doubts that say you can't, the voices that say you shouldn't, the weights that say it's too late. Nietzsche said we need to stare into that abyss, not to lose ourselves, but to find ourselves. Let's dive deeper, because it's in that struggle that you start to become unbreakable. If this message is stirring something in you, don't miss out. Subscribe to the channel. We're building a community of people who want to live boldly, who want to become more than the world expects. Hit subscribe and join us in this transformation. If you want to become someone no one can break, it's not about building thicker walls or pretending nothing gets to you. It's about becoming bigger than the pain, bigger than the fear, bigger than the chains holding you back. Nietzsche talked about the superhuman, not as some perfect being, but as someone who creates themselves, who turns suffering into strength, who dances in the chaos instead of cowering before it. Being unbreakable doesn't mean never doubting, never falling, never hurting. It means choosing who you're going to be, even when the world tries to shape you, shrink you, label you. The first step is to stop running from suffering. Nietzsche said, "That which does not kill me makes me stronger." Not because pain is a prize, but because it's a tool. Every tough moment, a criticism that shook you, a plan that fell apart, a loss that still lingers, is a chance to learn something about yourself. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What is this showing me?" Maybe that criticism hit a nerve you've never dealt with. Maybe that failure uncovered a dream you've been ignoring. When you face pain with courage, it stops owning you. It becomes a flashlight, shining on parts of you that were in the dark. Picture someone who loses a job they loved. The first reaction is anger, shame, fear. What will people think? But what if instead of sinking into that, they asked, what do I really want now? Maybe they realized that job, as safe as it was, wasn't what set their soul on fire. Maybe they find a passion they never had the guts to chase. Nietzsche would call this a moment of creation, the moment you pick up the pieces and build something new, something that's yours. That's the will to power at work, not about controlling the world, but about shaping your own story. And that brings us to the second step, creating who you are. Nietzsche believed life is a work of art, and you're the artist. Stop trying to fix what you think is wrong with you, your mistakes, your flaws, your scars. They're not defects, they're brushstrokes of your story. Instead of erasing them, use them to paint something new. That means making choices that reflect who you want to be, not who the world expects you to be. Maybe it's saying no to a relationship that's draining you, even if everyone thinks you're lucky. Maybe it's quitting a steady job to pursue something that scares you, but makes you feel alive. Or maybe it's as simple as stopping the comparison game and starting to listen to your own voice. Those choices aren't free. Nietzsche knew that. When you start living authentically, not everyone will cheer. Some will judge, others will pull away, because your courage threatens their comfort. Maybe your friends won't get why you're changing. Maybe your family will say you're going too far. But that loneliness isn't punishment. It's a sign you're breaking free. It's the space where you find your own strength, where you realize you don't need anyone's approval to be whole. And slowly, you'll draw in people who don't want to mold you, people who see your fire and want to watch it burn. But creating yourself isn't just about big moves. It's about small acts of courage, too. It's saying, I don't know, when you're tempted to fake it. It's asking for help when you were taught to go it alone. It's looking in the mirror, and instead of criticizing, saying, I'm trying and that's enough. Every one of those choices is a step toward becoming the superhuman. Not some unreachable ideal, but the version of you that faces the world with boldness, that meets chaos with a grin, that turns pain into possibility. Now, let's zoom in on what makes this path so powerful. Suffering as raw material. Because that's where the magic happens, where you discover that what hurts you can build you. You were taught to fear pain from the start. You were told suffering is weakness, crying is a waste, showing vulnerability is risky. So you learned to run, to dodge mistakes, to hide fear, to never look less than perfect. But the more you run, the more pain finds you. It doesn't give up. It shapeshifts into anxiety that wakes you at 3 a.m., anger that flares over nothing, an emptiness no success can fill. Nietzsche saw suffering differently. He said, you must carry a chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. Pain isn't your enemy. It's the chaos that comes before creation. Think of a sculptor facing a rough block of marble. He doesn't curse the cracks or flaws. He takes his chisel, strike by strike, to reveal the shape hidden inside. Your life is that marble, and every moment of pain is a strike of the chisel. When you lose something big, a relationship, a chance, a piece of yourself, it's easy to feel like you're being torn down. But what if that moment is actually the start of something new? What if every crack is a chance to uncover who you really are? Picture a woman who spent years trying to be the perfect daughter, always putting others' expectations above her dreams. One day she says no. No to the demands, no to the guilt, no to the role she was handed. That no hurts. She loses ties, faces judgment, feels the weight of being alone. But little by little she starts hearing her own voice. She realizes she wants to travel, to write, to live in a way she never dared before. The pain of that no wasn't the end. It was the chisel that freed the star inside her. Nietzsche would say she's overcoming herself, turning chaos into something radiant. This doesn't mean you should chase suffering. It means you can stop fearing it. It means knowing that falling is part of it, messing up is part of it, feeling is part of it. Nietzsche saw life as a glorious tragedy, full of struggle, uncertainty, raw beauty. And it's in that tragedy that you find meaning. When you accept pain as part of your story, It stops ruling you. It becomes the raw material of your masterpiece, the stuff of the superhuman rising in you. And how do you do this? In real life? Start small. The next time you feel ashamed of a mistake, pause and ask, what's this mistake teaching me? When you're scared to try something new, take a deep breath and say, this fear is just a door and I can open it. When life hits you, instead of hiding, look at the blow and think, how can I use this to grow? Those moments are where you start forging yourself, not as a victim of the world, but as the creator of your own existence. Becoming someone no one can break is a process, what Nietzsche called overcoming yourself. It's not about reaching a point where nothing touches you. It's about growing so big that life's hits don't define you anymore. Nietzsche didn't believe in perfection. He believed in motion, in becoming more, in shattering the limits you or the world set on you. This path starts with a simple but radical act, saying yes to life, with all its flaws, all its roughness, all its beauty. Saying yes means letting go of the crutches that keep you safe, but small. It means looking at the rules you follow without, thinking what success is, what happiness is, what it means to be good enough, and asking, is this true for me? Nietzsche said the superhuman is the one who creates their own values, who lives by their own truth, not the herd's truth. That takes guts, because the world doesn't love people who dare to stand out. It will test you. It will judge you. It will try to pull you back. But every test is a chance to claim who you are. Think of someone who leaves a secure job to start their own business. Everyone calls it crazy, says they'll fail, tells them to settle, but they push forward, not because it's easy, but because it feels like theirs. They face sleepless nights, tight budgets, closed doors, but over time they build something, not just a business, but a version of themselves that didn't exist before. That's Nietzsche's superhuman, not someone who never doubts, but someone who chooses to create even when the world says no. And here's what makes this path so powerful. You don't become unbreakable by dodging the hits. You become unbreakable by taking them and using them to grow. That means forgiving yourself for past mistakes because they got you here. It means embracing your scars because they tell the story of someone who fought and survived. It means looking at the future, not with fear of what might go wrong, but with hunger for what you can create. Nietzsche had a name for this, amor fati, loving your fate, loving every moment of your life, even the hardest ones, because they all shape you. In practice, amor fati is looking at a bad day and saying, this is my life too, and I choose to do something with it. It's remembering a loss and thinking, I cried, I felt it, and I'm still here, stronger. It's facing criticism and deciding, those words don't define me, I define myself. This love for your fate isn't giving up. It's an active fire, a choice to turn every piece of your story into fuel for growth. And this path, as much as it's yours, doesn't have to be lonely. When you start living as the creator of your own story, something shifts. You stop attracting people who want you small, who want you tame. You start finding those who see your light, people who push you to be more, who cheer your courage, who walk beside you without trying to change you. But above all, you find yourself. You realize the strength you were searching for outside, in applause, in wins, in certainties, was always inside you, waiting to be claimed. We've reached the heart of it all. No one can break you when you know who you are. Not because life stops hitting you, it never will, but because you've learned to get up, to find meaning in the chaos, to turn pain into power. Nietzsche said, true freedom is being the master of your own soul, not a slave to what happens around you. And that freedom isn't something you wait for, earn, or find. It's something you build moment by moment, choice by choice. And when you start living this way, something incredible happens. You don't just change your own life, you spark change in others. Your courage becomes a beacon for those still stuck, who still think they need the herd to survive. You show it's possible to be different, to be real, to be unbreakable. And bit by bit, you help build a world where more people dare to create themselves, where more people say yes to life, where more people dance in the chaos. If this video struck a chord, if you feel that fire starting to burn, write in the comments, I choose to overcome. Let's start a movement, not of followers but of creators, of people who don't want to just get by but to live with all the strength, all the truth, all the power they hold inside. This movement begins with you, with one step, with one choice. Before we wrap up, I want to invite you to be part of this. If this message moved you, if you want to keep going on this path of overcoming, hit the subscribe button. This channel is for those who choose to create, who choose to be more. Subscribe and let's grow together. And this journey doesn't end here. The next video is another step on this path. Real transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens when you keep moving, when you don't stop at the first spark. I'll see you there. Until then, remember, you're not who the world says you are. You're who you choose to be.